Yo, what's up? It's your boy Marwin, back with another great recipe. Today is cabbage and collard stew, two of my favorite vegetables that I'm going to bring together in a comforting, delicious, amazing way using smoked brisket to season it. I'm working with the rutabaga, which is a great vegetable. It's a root vegetable, kind of like a turnip, but yellow on the inside. Sweet, mild flavor, but kind of peppery. Start by sauteing my onions. I'm gonna add some spices, salt, paprika, allspice, and pepper. My kind of all-purpose. Saute those, add a little spice, add some garlic, and allow the heat to bring out the flavors and the spices that go well with the onions and garlic. And I got the makings of a nice seasoning base. I'm gonna add some of the leftover smoked brisket that I smoked a few days ago. You can use store-bought as well. I want to render some of that fat, again, adding flavor to the pot for when I saute my cabbage and my collard greens. I want to soak up all of that flavor that's sitting in the bottom of the pot. So now I can add my collard greens that I've chopped up pretty roughly. And just going to give them a good mix and stir. Again, the goal is to try to get the leaves of the cabbage coated in as much of the fat from the brisket and the flavor from the onions and garlic as I can. Then I'm gonna continue to season as I go. I chop my greens up. I don't want big leafy greens. I want to chop them up into like kind of as even as I can get them. The smaller they are, the faster they're cooking. So we don't want this to be like a long, extremely long cook time like when you're making southern collard greens. So this is gonna be acid heavy. So I got some wine white wine that I'm gonna add to kind of help break through that fat with the brisket that's in here. But you want to cook the wine long enough to kind of cook the alcohol out. So give it a few minutes. You want to boil that alcohol off, and then you can start to, bring the rest of this together. So I'm going to keep adding seasoning as I go. I got a nice chicken stock here that I'm using, plus some diced fire roasted tomatoes, and then bay leaves. So between that and all the different seasons, I got a lot of different flavor going on. I add my rutabagas, and I'm going to get them a nice mix. Try to get this like evenly distributed. And then if you need to, you might want to push down the rutabagas into the liquid depending on how much you got, because you really want those to cook long enough to get fork tender. That's going to be your measuring test in terms of how do you know when this dish is ready to go. Your cabbage and your collard should be nice and tender, but you want those rutabagas to be tender like you're cooking potatoes when you give them the fork test, right? And so I feel pretty good about where things are now. And like it's really smelling in my kitchen. It smells great. It looks great. I love the color. You got the red of the tomatoes, the yellow from the rutabagas, and then the green from the cabbage and the collards, plus the rustic brown of that meaty brisket I've got here. I love using brisket in dishes. It's a little used or known like kind of flavor ingredient, like people use ham hocks or smoked turkey. I like to use smoked brisket, especially to get that beefy kind of flavor in there, and the smoke just kind of takes it over the top. Beef and cabbage go well together. I know most people think of like pork and cabbage. Great combination, no doubt. But I wanted to kind of change things up and add the brisket. And you see how tender it is. I mean, it was already tender, but when you let it stew in the pot, it just falls apart, and all of that flavor and the fat and everything just kind of gets soaked and gets included into the dish. So you can see I'm giving it a nice test just to give you an idea of like how tender you want these rutabagas. I like a little texture, I like a little chew, so I don't want them mushy kind of falling apart, in my dish. And so that's what I'm going with, and that's really the dish in a nutshell. Not a lot of ingredients, but the flavor in some of the elements that I'm bringing here are pretty intense and add lots of dish in terms of the wine, the brisket, and then the flavor in those collard greens. And so, hey, if you dig the dish, as always, leave me a like, a thumbs up, but most importantly, and I emphasize importantly, hit that red subscribe button so you can get new recipes directly in your inbox when I post new content weekly. Thank you for vibing with me as always. Peace out. See you next time.